Hey there, awesome coaches. I wanted to hop in today and talk about workshops. Why this is 1 million%, 1 million% why I had an easier time building my business. And what does that actually mean? You know, we see all these different things like list build in this one way, use this one platform, build this freebie, have a landing page. And when you're brand new or you're struggling in the online space to find clients, I just want to share with you some strategies that I used and ones that I can tell you work. This training that I'm just going to show you, and I'm going to unpack actually an autoimmune workshop, I thought of because I got on the phone with a coach yesterday and she is struggling in that online space. And she's like struggling to really attract her ideal client. So I said to her, when you're brand new, that is the struggle. And I want you to be able to get clients. So let's actually look at how you can get in front of other people's audiences. For those in the online space too, this can also be used in the same fashion, which is when you are pitching to a podcast or you're actually pitching to somebody that you want to do an interview, a joint interview, you can say during this, live or during this, dual interview, I'm going to be sharing on the following topics, autoimmune, because I work with women who have an autoimmune, or I work with women who have hormone issues, or I work with women who have digestive issues such as. And so that workshop becomes the structure. So in the online space, like I said, just to recap before we go in, it can be great for structure for a podcast, structure for a pre-recorded video. In the offline space, this can also be a workshop that you're hosting, and you can send them the workshop slides, the PDF. So I'm going to actually show you what I did in Rachel's Wellness. So hold on one second while I share a screen. And let me just make sure that I have everything ready to go. Okay, bear with me, guys. Okay. When you look at a workshop, because a lot of people say, well, how do you do a workshop offline? This is exactly what I did. Right here, when you look at this workshop, you're pretty much looking at a PDF freebie. So if I'm going to just go save as, because I would say finding a projector and doing all that, it just creates a lot of stress. I'm going to save this as a PDF. Of course, I can go and update this and I can go and change the colors if I want. But one thing I've learned, close all tabs. One thing I've learned is to be able to just keep it really simple. So right here, I'm going to say this as a PDF. I'm going to send the PDF to participants. The same can be if you're doing a podcast or you're doing an interview. You can, of course, have that say, here, grab the PDF while we're following the podcast, or grab the PDF while I'm teaching this in a series. See how easy it can be. Even if you're doing this offline, you can say to people, hey, I'm going to send you this PDF, pull it up on your phone. These days, most people have a phone that you can pull up. You can even say to people, if you have an iPad, come to the workshop with an iPad. The same thing, guys, if you're getting in front of somebody else's audience, even in a Facebook group, even on a Zoom for somebody else's, let's say wellness center, a gym, a spa. So many people are online these days that it's such a no-brainer to be able to bring somebody high value information. So in order to do this and to make it easy so that you're not like falling apart and saying, what should I say? If you're offline, you're going to print this out and you're actually going to say in the beginning of that workshop, because I did this myself, I would say, hey, I have a little fear of public speaking. So bear with me as I read through this workshop. If of course you're doing this in a pre-recorded setting, you can always, if you get uncomfortable looking at the camera, you can always introduce yourself in the beginning, and then you can actually share screen without your visual. So just remember, there's not a right or wrong way. It's about you being comfortable and having the confidence to show up so that your ideal client sees that confidence, hears, not only you teaching, but like, how did you overcome this? Or how did you help somebody overcome? Right here, let's just go through. You have everything that you can start to, of course, share on that workshop or even a video series talking about autoimmune flares. How do they happen? Autoimmune diseases are the result of your body having difficulty identifying that your cells are your own. So it attacks these foreign invaders. You can even stop in a workshop and say, I want to cover all these symptoms. Raise your hand if you have anxiety. You can even do this on a Zoom. You can do this on a webinar. Raise your hand if you have depressive states, brain fog, digestive issues, dizziness. If you're doing this on a live, you can be like, drop a 1 if you have anxiety, drop a 2 if you have depressive states, drop a 3 if you have brain fog, drop a 4 if you have digestive issues, and really take them through. Then start to talk about environmental triggers. Start asking. The great thing about attracting our ideal client is what? Say it for any of you watching. Drop it below. It's that we have to make the connection for our ideal client. They may know this: stress, trauma, emotional charge, exhaustion, nutritional. They know this, but our job is to help our ideal client connect. So you can take them through talking and actually asking engaging questions, especially if you're doing this for a live, if you're doing this for a workshop, if you're even doing this on a video series. Why? Nobody just wants us to go, do this. They don't want the teach. They have enough of that. They want to hear, how do I add in glutathione boosting foods? How do I nourish the body? Your business isn't about you. But guess what? The stories that you share and how you did it, case studies, testimonials, allow your ideal client to build that trust, build that know, like, and trust factor, and get hired. Second, how could I actually use this? I could actually make and say, you know what? Sign up for this. You're going to also get a 5-day yoga rest challenge right here. I don't have to change the cover. I just have to keep it simple. If the covers and the technology, gets you jacked up, guess what? Just take it away. Right here, you could even do this live. So for any of you that are doing this online, this could be its own workshop, a 5-day yoga rest challenge. You could actually give that as a gift. Here's another 8 ways to manifest wellness. This could be my social media posts leading up to the workshop. So when I look at our workshops, I look at it just as content. And content means that I could use it for social media. I could use it for a live. This could be a script that I go for a live or a pre-recorded video. This could be an IGTV live. This could be social media post, 8 ways to manifest wellness. You could do 8 days. That could be social media post 1. Then social media post 2, believe in your vision, can be the actual video. Social media post number 3, but you're copying and pasting this information to make it super easy. The other way that you can use this, and guys, each of our workshops are different. You can use workshop 25 if you want to save 25% on a workshop. Each of them are different. They all have different materials in here, but look how adorable this is. You have an entire autoimmune journal. So whether you're doing this in a workshop or you actually have this as a gift that somebody watches this masterclass, or a gift when somebody signs up for your webinar, or an incentive to create that engagement before the workshop or the webinar. I always love, and I'm just going to stop sharing for a second, high engaging webinars that convert and ones that will get your ideal client to actually buy is when you're you're taking them through a hero journey. You're taking them through that mini transformation. And what does that actually mean? They're coming to the workshop or the webinar or the live because you're solving a problem. They have a problem and you're actually solving that problem on that specific training. But in order for them to get pre-qualified, to start that journey, to get a taste of what it's like to work with you, I always suggest giving those kind of like something like that, the journal, before the workshop. So somebody signs up for the workshop, you immediately send them that, or the 5-day yoga challenge. And so they're doing that homework. You could, of course, have them autoimmune journal from all the way to the workshop. And then after, give them the 5-day yoga rest and really position that workshop, whether you're doing this offline or online. A workshop can be used in so many different ways. It can also be a masterclass with handouts that you send for nurturing like 3 days after. Day number 1, you're going to give the autoimmune journal. Day number 2, you're going to follow up with the yoga rest or the manifest to wellness. Day number 3, so that you actually are nurturing them through a process. And so when you're looking at workshops, don't just look at it as, I have to use this in this one way. It can be used in a myriad of different ways. It can even be used for those of you who are doing summits or you want to do summits. It's to help structure what you're talking about. And it's to allow you, because reading from just the workshop and the webinar, yes, it's helpful. And that's in the beginning stages before we've practiced. But where we really get into that amazing flow is when we have that structure there and we can practice that workshop, or we can practice doing that offline or online. I always suggest, and here's my trick, is I suggest, of course, recording yourself and listening to yourself. Even if you're intending to do this offline with people, get used to saying this in a way that you feel so comfortable that it just comes out naturally. And the last thing is, how do you actually reach out to people and get in front of their audience? Because that's a much easier way than just posting on Instagram, doing all these different things and waiting and hoping that your ideal client stops on your perfect social media image. I know social media can be a little overwhelming and exhausting. So this is how we are lessening that exhaustion, especially if you're a new coach, especially if you don't have money for Facebook ads, Instagram ads, YouTube ads, Google ads, paid ads. I want you to think about 20 people that already know, like, and trust you. So that means maybe your gym that you go to, your hair salon, your spa. Maybe you have friends who really like believe in what you do, and they would allow you to do a lunch and learn at corporate. I want you to actually write down 20 people or 20 establishments. In that first column, that's going to be the name. In the second column, it's going to be the date that you reach out to them and what you are presenting to them. When you have a workshop like that, or your 3 signature workshops that help your ideal client to know what is your signature process. So for example, I'm a gut coach. One of my core buckets, content pillars, and a big part of my business was autoimmune flares. A second big part of my signature process, and something I constantly talked about in pillar 2, content pillar or bucket. These are all words that you guys hear, and I wanted to just make it super simple to understand how they all come together: your niche, your core content pillars, your signature process. My second was food allergies and sensitivities. That was a huge pain point. It was a huge problem, because if I'm a gut coach to just everyone, that's great. But that's what had me making $13K the first year and $27K the second year, when I got super clear, polarized down, and realized I have to solve very specific problems that people would pay for to be solved. that's when I had this aha moment of clarity and polarizing down. The third, of course, is I taught a lot about detoxification, because I said, you got to detox your body. And so that was a core pillar, having those structured workshops so that you can reach out to those establishments and say, hey, I was looking on your site, or, hey, I know, maybe you don't know, I went to school. This is what I do. This is what I specialize in. This is how I help people. I was wondering if your audience, or I was wondering if your clients, or I was wondering if you want to co-collaborate. That's the simplest conversation. Don't overcomplicate it. It's going to feel a little scary to do it, but if you do it, you're going to get more used to. And that's the thing, guys, is no matter what platform you use, no matter, what email marketing system, no matter what social media scheduler, no matter what you use, at the end of the day, it comes down to being willing to take that risk and push through the fear that you're going to mess up, or that your voice is going to shake, or that you're not going to know what to do, or the perfect lighting. That's our inner critic and perfectionism running the show. Those who just say, screw it, and we show up because we know that our ideal client is looking for that information that we have, the information of how we overcame X, or how we helped this person, or the steps that we know are essential to get our client from A to Z. And that A to Z is that transformational journey. So for me, in my business, to recap this on why those were workshops that I had, is I knew in order to get your gut better, come out of autoimmune hell, preach, come out of food allergies and sensitivities, you had to be able to detox. And I knew that a fourth pillar that I always talked about was that perfectionism, that imposter syndrome, the inner critic, the self-worth, that person who was like me, that personality who was an overthinker, an A-type personality. That was a huge pillar. And so I would always, of course, have those workshops that showcased my signature process. You had to detox your body. And if it wasn't detoxing your body, you had to start with detoxing your mind. You had to let go of those old stories, old narratives, inner critic, the stuff that keeps us sick. And the second was then to really look at, how was it showing up? For most people, it was food allergies, intolerances, nausea, bloating, skin issues, sleep issues, sex drive. It was a lot of different symptoms and problems. But I decided to solo focus in those areas. It doesn't mean that I didn't have other workshops where I talked about that hormone and the detox connection. I had workshops where I talked about skin. My husband, had psoriasis. That was such a huge part of our life. And one of the big reasons that we moved from Philly to Florida. I talked constantly about, my kids' heavy metals and the early intervention I needed to do with them. Was that the main part of my business? No, but I did have workshops on how to detox your children, how to detox the family, how to take simple steps when you're really busy corporate. Did I do corporate? No, but I had lunch and learns that were geared towards people in corporate who I knew would be my ideal client. Because when you come in and you can solve a problem and really speak to your ideal client with their specific problems, come in and really share those unique stories, I'm telling you, you will convert. Lastly, you got to do the work. You got to show up, make that column. And then in the second 20, so we have, remember, the first 20, the second, so you're going to have a total of 40. Those are going to be 20 people or places or establishments, brick and mortar, or even online podcast interviews that you want to get in front of somebody's audience, or again, like co-lives. Those are the people that are like on your, oh my God, I'm kind of scared list, and they don't know you already. But if you start to establish this, you're taking the action steps those action steps, of course, have to be followed up with you believing in yourself. That's the visualization. That's the inner work that we have to do. And then the third is actually making it the non-negotiables. And that means doing it even if you're scared, putting a date on that, committing that I'm going to reach out to this person. I'm going to dedicate, 2 Saturdays a month to spend 3 hours to go to local businesses, or I'm going to spend 3 hours to reach out to online influencers or people that I want to get in front of their list. You have to do it. I did it. There's not another person who didn't do it. And if they say they didn't do it, I bet you they're lying, or they had a shitload of money to do paid ads. It really comes down to that. So guys, I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. And with that being said, I will see you guys later. Mwah! Peace out, guys.